I mean, what is there to even say right now? The Miami Dolphins blow a 17-point lead, and instead of putting their feet on the throats of a weaker opponent, instead, in the end, they look like an even worse team than that weak opponent. The defense was embarrassing. Tua, great game. Final drive, missed a throw to Waddle, and then sacked on the next one. No chance. Just not good enough from the Miami Dolphins once more. It's been the theme of this season, and they're now 1-4. And even after beating the Jets, we are back to asking some serious questions, and we're going to ask them tonight. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. Let's get into this.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Field down the near side, man open. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's going over the touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go! What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. Listen, I don't know what everyone's talking about in the chat. I mean, Tua was not the problem today, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what we're talking about in the chat. Tua was not the problem. Did he get it done on the last drive? No, but a sack ended that drive. The defense was the problem today. I don't want to hear anything but that. That defense gave up 32 carries for 239 yards. They gave up 23 carries and 206 yards to Rico Dowdle. What did I say in my keys to victory on Friday? What did I say? I said, if this run defense with Chuba Hubbard out can't get it going against the Panthers, then we've got a serious problem on our hands. And we got a serious problem on our hands. That is one of the worst defensive performances I've ever seen. Tua Tagovailoa was 27 of 36, 256 yards. 3 touchdowns. The defense allowed 17 less yards rushing. That defense against Carolina today allowed 418 yards. That was awful. The trenches on both sides of the ball were terrible. Achane couldn't run the ball because there was no push. There was 0 push in the run game whatsoever. You're up 17-0 and you lose 27-24. You get outscored 27-7. You got outscored 17-7 in the second half. And you go from only having 1 penalty at one point to now you finish the game with 9. We were winning time of possession in the first quarter about 12.5 minutes to 2.5 minutes. We ended up losing the time of possession 31-14 to 28-46 because of how well they ran the ball. Dude, was McDaniel great today? No. Going away from Waddle and Waller for most of the second half until that Waddle touchdown, I don't get what we're doing. Punting even after the sack because you're deep? What do you expect? And then, never mind that, you get them with 50 seconds left to 3rd and 5, and Jack Jones takes his second penalty in coverage today. We had a 17-point lead. This defense forced 2 turnovers. And then they gave up 13 straight points on 3 straight drives after that. And then, look at this. On the before the last drive of the game for the Panthers, where they just basically ran out the clock. Before those last 4 plays, think about this. They ran 15 plays and went 168 yards in about 6 minutes and 45 seconds of possession. Think about that. And only 19 yards rushing because you can't get any push from the offensive line in the run game. Devon Achane, 10 carries for 16 yards. Jalen Waddle steps up today, 6 receptions for 110 yards and a first and 1 touchdown. Darren Waller, 5 receptions for 78 yards, but those all came in the first half. All of that Darren Waller stuff came in the first half. Like, someone answer me how Darren Waller didn't have a catch in the second half and McDaniel didn't make a concerted effort to get him involved. You know, how Darren Waller didn't have a catch in the second half and McDaniel didn't make a concerted effort to get him involved is a shame. Is a shame. All right? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. You finished with a 9. They had 220 more rushing yards than you did. And they didn't have their starting running back today. Unbelievable. But let's throw screens. I'm absolutely flabbergasted that you blew this game. That's impressive. And this is what it comes down to. Bad teams find ways to lose games. And that's exactly what happened. I wouldn't say no one played good. Tua was good. Waddle was good. Waller was good. Well, that's about the list. That's just absolutely embarrassing effort, and that's pathetic. And now you are 1-4. I want you to think about this now. Because of Tua not getting it done in the final minutes against the Patriots and then the Bills, and then now one of the worst defensive performances I've ever seen, the Dolphins, instead of being 4-1, are 1-4. Listen, when we scored that Waddle touchdown, that defense should have locked down. That defense should have locked down. That's when we need the pressure. That's when we need the sacks. That's when we need the run stops. But what happens? What happens? Let's go. Jays just went up 2-0 on the Yanks. I love it. Ernie Clement, 2-run jack. Beautiful. But what happens? You get that touchdown. And you take you take penalties. You take an illegal formation on the kickoff. Right? Then you get them to holding. Offensive holding. On the kickoff. Okay, so now they're backed up to the 17. 1st and 10, you give up a 16-yard run. Then, because Rasul Douglas hasn't been taking proper depth all game, he gets beat once again in coverage today by Xavier Legette. Rasul had probably his worst game as a Dolphin today. It was rough. And you give up a 24-yard reception right away. Down to the Miami 38. Then you get into 3rd and 5, and what do? You allowed a 17-yard pass on 4th and 5. Again, Rasul was beat on that again, and he was even grabbing him. Like, not good, man. Jack Jones, multiple penalties today in coverage that cost the Miami Dolphins. I mean, think about this. You had them at 4th and 5 today twice, and you allowed them to get away with it. In the first half, you allowed Ted to get open for that 21-yard gain when Bryce got out of structure with the defense bearing down on him. Then late in the game, you allow that big reception and completion to Jimmy Horn. The Miami Dolphins started off 5 for 7 on 3rd down. They finished 5 for 13. You allowed the Panthers to be 2 for 2 on 4th down. A top 28 defense wins today, but we have the 32nd best, 110%. It's bad. It's bad. And then let's say Tua does score on that drive where we, at the rate these guys were going, if you would have left any time on the clock, they would have scored on you anyways. No faith in this defense. Man, Bryce didn't come through. Their run game came through. And did you see how dominated we were? Did you see how dominated we were at the line of scrimmage defensively? And now we got the Chargers. And we all know how this is going to go. Game is won and lost in the trenches, and we got dominated on both sides of the trenches today. Wasn't even close. Again, I want people to let this settle in for you. Let this really settle in. Tua Tagovailoa threw for 256 yards today and 3 touchdowns. The Carolina Panthers rushed for 239 yards. Only 17 yards less than what Tua threw for. That is bad. That is like impressively bad. And we were worried about the secondary. Yeah, it cost us a little bit today. But that front is, man, that front went from us thinking it's going to be one of the best in the league to arguably the worst in the league right now. So let's get into this. Let's get into some observations from today. Start off in the first half. That first drive, Miami settles for 3. Why? Because Jonah allows a sack to end the first drive. Right? Then you got bad coverage by Douglas when he's not taking enough depth on Tet McMillan. When the Panthers have the ball, 29-yard gain. Then you got good old Bradley Chubb forces a fumble. We think we're back. Waller and Waddle early on look fantastic, filling in for Tyreek's void. What a catch by Achane on that touchdown to contort his body and keep his toes in on the beautiful fade throw by Tua. We thought we were rolling right now. And then Minka with it, Miami's first pick of the season right after that. And then we get another Waller touchdown, our third in 2 weeks. And we think we're cooking. We're up 17-0. But then what happens? Like clockwork, the Dolphins defense gets shredded. 12 plays, 76 yards. Just shredded. Again, you got him on a 4th and 5 on that drive. You got the pressure bearing down on Bryce Young, but you like to make a play out of structure. Tet McMillan gets open, and there you go. You could have got out the field. Instead, you end up giving a touchdown on the drive. Touchdown by Xavier Legette on that drive, and the coverage was actually really good by Jack Jones. It's just a better throw and catch by Legette and Bryce. But then what happens? Remember, the first drive ended with a sack allowed by Jonah. We had to settle for 3. We get the ball back. Right? 3rd and 5. Brewer gives up a sack. Basically goes back into the pocket. Tua can't even move around. Sack ends the drive. Then you give up 11 plays, 59 yards, starting with a 25-yard run by Dowdle. And you give up a field goal. So now it's 17-10 heading into half, and they get the ball. Dowdle just had his way with the run defense in the first half. And the Carolina run defense shut us down all game and in the first half. Dowdle was averaging 7.3 yards per carry in the first half. I mean, this run defense is a serious Achilles heel for the team and any future success they want to have against good teams this year. Waller in the first half has 5 receptions, 78 yards, and a touchdown. Doesn't have a reception for the rest of the game. Dolphins had 14 rushing yards in the first half. Achane was averaging 1.9 yards per carry. He had 6 carries for 13 yards in that first half. And it didn't get much better. Because he finished with 10 carries for 16 yards when it was all said and done. And the Dolphins finished with 19 rushing yards. They had 6 rushing yards in the second half. Dolphins were 2 for 3 in the red zone. And then what happens? What happens? First play of the second half for the Carolina Panthers, and what happens? What happens? You allow a 53-yard run to Dowdle to start the half. That's how you set the tone, defense. Jalen Phillips gets a sack on 3rd down to force a field goal, 17-13. And then what happens? Next drive. Right? 2nd and 13. Tua Tagovailoa throws an absolute dot to Jalen Waddle for 19 yards in the first down. But holding on Cole Strange pushes us back to 2nd and 23. We get a 15-yard pass to Tanner Connor. And then it's 3rd and 8, and Tua has to scramble, and he takes off for 5 yards. He's 3 yards short. We got a punt. But again, the hold. I mean, think about this. In the first half, Jonah allows a sack to end the first drive. Miami settles for 3. Brewer, late to pick up a stunt, allows a sack to end the drive. And now you're in the second quarter, and your first drive of the quarter and the second half ends because of a hold. So think about this, all right? That's 5 drives, okay? That's 5 drives. 3 of them ended because of the offensive line. 2 sacks and 1 hold. Right? Not good enough, man. Then you got the Dolphins. They force a punt on the next drive, but they're bailed out because there was a should-be DPI on Jack Jones. And instead they forced the punt. And trenches on the both sides were just a major issue at this point. You couldn't stop the run defensively, and offensively, you couldn't get any push and run sets while pass pro's been shaky. And really, aside from losing Tyreek, the most disappointing thing of this season so far has been the run defense. Then you had Brooks and Kenneth Grant getting in. Brooks with the sack, and they finally force a negative play, and they force a punt. Dolphins didn't convert a third down in the second half. They were 5 for 7 to start the second half on third down. They finished 5 for 11. McDaniel seemed like he was getting away from featuring Waller and Waddle. Too many screens. Play calling wasn't really great. So, and then again, defense forces a punt. Dolphins, Sealer had a sack, but Young got away and threw it away. And then what happens? Again, the offensive line. Do we not want to talk about this? Again, the offensive line after that punt. Tua Tagovailoa, 3rd and 7. Bad snap by Brewer. Tua can't get his feet set. Throws it over the shoulder outside. And Waddle was tracking it on the inside. Incomplete, punt 4. So that's 4 drives. Ended because of the offensive line. A mistake by the offensive line. Then they score a touchdown on their next drive. 43-yard run by Dowdle. Melifonu whiffed hard on that tackle. Then you got Chop flagged for roughing the passer on Young when you would have had him at 3rd and 5. Then you allow them to punch it in. 20 unanswered points, 17-0. When you were up 17-0. So now it's 2017. And you connect with, you get it started with a great return by Malik Washington. And then you connect on that 46-yard bomb to Waddle for the touchdown. You get your lead back 24-20. And then what happens? Rasul keeps taking not enough depth. And it leads to more big catches for the Panthers. 4th and 5 with 3:31 from the Miami 33, and you allow a big completion to Jimmy Horn Jr. with Rasul, who was beat when even he was grabbing him. Then you let Etienne come in and get some big chunk yard runs down your throat. You're just getting dominated at the line of scrimmage. Defense continues to fold in big moments when you need them. Waller still doesn't have a catch in the second half and finished without one. Then Tua, we get the ball back. And Tua has Waddle open over the middle. He had him, and he missed him. He threw it too high. So now it's 3rd and 10, and what happens? Another drive ended because of the offensive line. They give up a sack. Jonah gives up that sack. Right? Like, 5 drives ended by mistakes by the offensive line. 3 sacks, 1 holding, and a bad snap on key downs. The Miami Dolphins had 10 drives today, ladies and gentlemen. That means half of your drives ended because of errors on the offensive line. And the offensive line, you're making errors to end the drive, and you're not getting pushed in the run game. That's not good. That is not good at all. I just don't know what to say. Like, impressive. I don't know how you're not hitting Darren Waller, man. But 5 drives ended because of the offensive line today. That is not good enough. Matt, you know, when they can only push you to 19 rushing yards, and then on the flip side, your run defense allows 239 rushing yards. Did Tua do anything wrong today? Yeah, Tua wasn't. He missed that throw to Jalen Waddle that could have extended the drive in a key moment. But then he's not given a chance on 3rd down because we give up a sack. Tua had a chance to hit Waddle right over the middle, and he missed him. You got to make that throw, dude. So yeah, Tua messed up late in the game. But the defense was the clear issue today. The offensive line was a bigger issue than Tua today. You can't have 5 drives ending because of 3 sacks, an offensive hold, and a bad snap. The offensive line and the defense were the biggest letdowns today. End of story. Wasn't even close. Like I said, even if Tua scores on that last drive, the way our defense is playing, who says they aren't giving up yards? Who says they aren't getting scored on? So, this is an issue with the offensive line. This is an issue with the defense today. That's what I'm hanging my hat on today. And really, McDaniel deserves some play. I don't know why you're getting away from Waller in that second half. It makes no sense. Waller should have been a focal point after what you saw in that first half. And I agree with Ballgame, actually. And I said this to Neil when we were texting. Tua shouldn't have been in that position. The defense gave up 200-plus rushing yards to Rico Dowdle. Let that sink in. Rico MFing Dowdle. Not Chuba Hubbard. Rico. Yeah, he shouldn't have been in that position in the final drive. I agree. But at the same time, he didn't get it done. You got to make that throw to Waddle. You got to give us a chance. Greer has had plenty of time to solidify this line. Barry has had major red flags when we signed him. We keep doing stuff we think will be different because we signed them. Let's talk about this conversation. Let's have a conversation. There's 2 coaches I do want to talk about. Let's talk about Weaver. Let's talk about Butch Barry. First of all, let's talk about Butch Barry. Butch Barry is going to get a pass because of how good Patrick Paul looks. But the way Jonas Savaianai is playing and the fact that they're all coachable errors should bug you. The fact that not one of the person in that building is saying, well, maybe let's move Cole Strange back to left guard because he's whatever, he's depth, and let's just get Jonah acclimated at the right side, at least see what we got, should worry you. I said this last year. Thank God Paul has worked out, because whoever was telling Mike McDaniel, yeah, we could make Robert Jones and Isaiah Wynn work as our interior offensive lineman, needed to be fired. Whoever said, yeah, we can make it work. And you know Butch was one of those guys. But Patrick Paul and his development is going to save Butch Barry for now. That's the reality of the situation. But these trenches are just not good enough. And I don't see them firing Butch Barry in season at all. Now, let's flip to the other side here. The defense. I think it is time to have a legit conversation about whether Weaver's the guy or not. There's too much talent on this defense for it to be this bad. Period. Like, end of story. They're I don't know what else to tell you guys. Weaver, all the good faith he built last year has gone down the toilet. I want this guy nowhere near. I take back everything I said regarding him potentially being a coach. I want him nowhere near the head coaching spot. There is too much talent on this team for it to be this bad. I am out on Anthony Weaver, I think. For now, at least. You just can't win. Like, guys, okay, let's say we pull out this victory today. Let's say we pull it out. What happens when you face Amarian Hampton next week? What happens when you face Quinshon Judkins? What happens when you face James Cook again? We have a gauntlet of good running backs coming up. Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson. What happens when you face those guys again? Even if you would have snuck out the win today, with that defense and how they're playing, you cannot beat and expect to beat good teams. Period. You can't expect to win in December and January with that run defense. Forget the tight end room. Forget the wide receiver room. Forget the running back room. Hell, forget the offensive line that's struggling. Just stick with the run defense. What are you going to win with that run defense? You made Rico Dowdle look like Barry Sanders. Like, your expectations should be low just because of the run defense. And Mike McDaniel punting, I don't know what he's doing. That offensive line is just not good, man. Butch Barry might have to go. Unbelievable. And you know, Stephen Ross ain't gonna make any changes. Who are we lying to? Stephen Ross ain't gonna make no changes. No changes are gonna come. And lack of adjustments in the second half, right? The Panthers started taking away the middle of the field, and McDaniel didn't adjust. Just not good, man. Just not good. $20 unanswered points when you got up 17-0. This defense, though, I tell you, this defense is just not a good enough. No lead is safe with this defense. That's the type of football we're playing right now. Weaver's scheme is McDaniels. Yes, yet he is starting Dotson, who got benched and cut by McDonald. Oh, it's McDonald's, yeah. Weaver gave Dotson the green dot. Why is he doing this? Because apparently what's being said is Brooks didn't want it. You can't fire McDaniel because Weaver is a bigger problem. Hey, Reason, in that throw where 2 overthrew Waddle, look at his feet. He don't trust his line. Yeah, he got a little happy feet. For sure. Top 28 defense wins today, but we have the 32nd best. You can make the case we have the worst defense in football right now. Look at what we just allowed to Rico Dowdle. That's what the worst defense in football does. Willie Gay is not getting much playing time because Dotson's wearing their green dot, but apparently Dotson got hurt too today, so might see some more time for Willie Gay. I don't know. Yeah, the Ravens are pretty bad, but what do you think? What do you think Derrick Henry is going to do to this defense if Rico Dowdle's doing to this? Think about this for a second. What is Derrick Henry going to do to this defense? Wow, big strikeout by Savage. Let's go on Judge. I mean, what do you think's going to happen? Derrick Henry is going to have his way with this defense. He is going to eat. I'm telling you right now, you don't even got to wait for that. Omarion Hampton next week gonna eat. I'll tell you another one. I've been trying to warn everyone. Quinshon Judkins in the Cleveland Browns. He's gonna eat. It's coming. Get ready for it. We're about to get chewed up on the ground over the next 5 games. That was the weakest game in terms of running back faced that we were going to see over these next 6 games. And look at what happened. Now you got Omarion Hampton, Quinshon Judkins, Bijan Robinson, James Cook. What do you think they're going to do? What do you think they're going to do to this team? It's only going to get worse from here on out with this defense. Remember Weaver this week said, we got to figure out this run defense fast and soon. And that was your answer. Now, here we go. This is there, now this is the question that comes. Is there a point in even making a move with McDaniel right now. You're losing. If your goal is to get a high draft pick, you're most likely to accomplish that with McDaniel and his staff right now. And so long to everyone that said, you know, the Jets game was the road to 9-8, because it ain't happening. And if you keep McDaniel, he's not going to fire Weaver. Weaver ain't going to get fired. I'll tell you right now, McDaniel don't have the balls. And here's where you've come to now. Tua's turned his play around. So you're not even at a point where you can bench Tua and start Quinn Ewers and let it ride. If I was McDaniel, I'd be firing Anthony Weaver. I'm not even joking. In real talk, McDaniel and Weaver should both be gone. I wouldn't even be letting them on the plane. Anthony Weaver is just bad right now. I don't expect changes. I don't. You've been blown out to the Colts. You lost to New England. You lost a game you should have lost to the Bills. You almost let the Jets come back against you. And now you gave up 20 unanswered points after being up 17-0 to a 1-3 Panthers team that now beat you. And oh yeah, you allowed 239 yards rushing. Someone has to go today for this. For that embarrassing defensive performance, someone needs to pay the piper for allowing 239 yards on the ground. End of story. Someone needs to pay. Ifeatu Melifonwu has been a disaster. That tackling again was poor. How many yards after contact did Dowdle get because we couldn't make a tackle? Oh, man. Just pathetic. Just absolutely pathetic. Shout out to the sponsor of today's video. That, of course, is Sleeper. You think you know football? Then try to turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app. The ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day into payday. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players. With more stats than any other daily fantasy app, just choose 2 or more of your favorite players from pregame or live. Pick more or less from the predicted stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money if your pick wins. Use promo code PHINSIDE, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. And right now, Sleeper has a promo going on, a free $20 with no deposit required. Just sign up using my code. You do not need to deposit anything, and you will get a free $20. And then if you do decide to deposit anything, you will get a 100% deposit match up to $100 using my code. Shout out to Sleeper. I mean, I don't know what to say anymore at this point. This team is 1-4, and they've got no one to blame for themselves. Week 1 against the Colts, blown out. Everyone was awful. Tua was terrible. Week 2 and 3, defense wasn't good enough, but Tua had a chance to get you a win late in the game. Couldn't get it done. Against the Jets, you take care of business but lose Tyreek. And then now, yeah, Tua has a chance late to at least tie the game. But the bigger issue was the run defense allowing 239 yards and the defense allowing 418 to the Carolina Panthers. Unbelievable. Guys, smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. Over 450 of you in the room. I'm going to be back probably tomorrow. Doesn't get any easier from here. Chargers next. Fins up. We'll catch y'all in the next one.